Yes, and welcome to our last class. We're going to meet this evening, and then we will only meet next Tuesday. We'll be online for about 30 minutes or so. And if anybody has any questions as they're finishing up their final things for Task Stream, then you can come online and ask questions. But otherwise, we're going to say goodbye to you tonight. And you do have a required town hall meeting on Monday evening. And I will see you there. I don't think Dr. Stedman's going to be able to be there, but so we want to make sure that we answer all of your questions tonight and end up on a good note as we finish our semester. Yay!
And Dr. Revis, even though I won't be there, I have a board meeting that night with where I work, and it's a required board meeting. And so I'm available if you need to speak with me. Most or 99% of the meeting is Dr. Lamb anyway. We just show up for support. But what we're going to share with you tonight is there'll be a lot of repeat on Monday night for the town hall, but it won't go into some detail like Dr. Revis and I are going to go into some detail with you tonight so that you can go ahead and get started. But we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit. Let's just talk briefly, Dr. Revis, about, the APTEL final, where we are with things, and then move right into the case study too, just briefly on that, because I want to really spend a lot of time on looking at 603 with them tonight.
Okay, so everyone has submitted in my class for evaluation, and everyone received a 4 except for one person, and that person scored a 3.75. So I'm very, very pleased with your work. As I'm looking at tasks 1 through 4, when you combine it, and I'm reviewing it that one last time, and I'm sure you probably have the same kinds of thoughts, how much information that you have put together in that one evidence, and how many pages you've written, and how much research you've done. It's just really a lot of work, and very pleased that the evaluator saw your work and scored you as such.
And
Dr.
it's
Stedman?
the same thing with me, Dr. Revis. There's between my two classes, there's 30 students, and 95% of them scored a 4. The rest are 3.75s, and that is overall for all of our class. That is amazing. I still think our overall scores are the best that we have ever had. Now, you're learning with the evaluators. Dr. Revis and I can push and push and push and push, and we can do and do. But that last thing, is subjective to them. And one little thing can be, they may think, well, that you've done your work, but there's something that does not quite click with them as being accomplished, which is not the end of the world. That's a great score, but that is why we stress over and over again, make sure that every I is dotted, every T is crossed, that you follow the rubric, the rubric as outlined by what Gardner-Webb says you have to do. Those are non-negotiables. There were some, Dr. Revis, we sent them back because even when we looked at task 4 on the APTEL, we realized that while what you said was right, it just was not detailed enough. So, those are the kinds of things that the evaluators look at. They really, by the time you get to the APTEL, they are really honing in on APA more than they did with the APSL, because by that time there shouldn't be any questions about it. So those are those are things that you really have to focus on. But overall, I say, job's well done. The only thing that Dr. Revis, I would remind you of, Dr. Revis and I have, we've kind of taken you under our wings this semester, and we have done far more than what we're really supposed to do as far as giving you second and third and fourth chances sometime, reviewing work more times than we said we were going to review it, because we wanted you to, we wanted it to be right. That's not going to happen next semester, Dr. Revis. It's not.
No, no,
And
but I think it was
and it's not saying that that your professors are not going to work with you. They will, but it goes to a different level.
and I think it's important for you in your first semester to see the level of work that the evaluator is looking for so that we try our best to get you to a 4 because you need to see what a 4 looks like. It's hard to know what to shoot for if you don't know what a 4 looks like. But now you do. Now you know. And so even though you may not have as much feedback and guidance in future semesters, you know how to take that rubric and unpack it and what a 4 looks like.
And Dr. Revis, I will say that between the very few 3.75s I had, either between the APSL or the APTEL, every student made a 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they
Yes.
know, every student knows what a 4 looks like.
Put it in the trunk.
And just remember too that if you had scored a 3.5 or above, that's still considered, and that's A work. That is A work. So you're still doing extremely good work. But job's well done. We're very pleased with the results. You've got to make sure that you adhere. If we tell you that it's due, or they tell you that it's due, it's due. And I sent a message out, Dr. Revis, the evaluators know when work is supposed to be in. And so what happens if 2 weeks ago your class, the majority of your class has submitted their work for evaluation, and then 3 days later after the deadline date, you're just now getting your work in. Now, I'm just telling you, as if I were the evaluator, I would look at that work more closely than probably I did any of the other work, and that's what they do sometimes. So you got to be careful. You don't want to single yourself out. Also, it's not a race. As you're going into the next semester, it's not a race who can get it submitted first. Make sure that it's quality work and don't race to get it in. Okay? That's very, very, very important. But enough said about the APTEL, Dr. Revis. That's pretty much history for us now. Okay. What about the case study 2, Dr. Revis?
Well, I would just like to say in the case study too, I was very, very pleased with the level of preparation that you came to the case study Zoom with already, the thoughtfulness that you put into your comments, how you backed your comments up with readings, research, the work of the APTEL, and I was just very pleased with all of that. Where in this course, you're backing up your comments and what you would do or a recommendation from your readings or your research or the work that we've done in class on your evidence work. In 603, you're going to have to back your thoughts and comments up with landmark case studies, school law, and probably a lot of school law if there are any case studies, and I'm not sure, Dr. Stedman, with school finance. And so everything you do, you're going to have to reference your school law information. And you'll enjoy diving into that, of course, but you just remember it's not about what you think, you have to cite those law cases.
And we're going to show you some of that tonight as well. But the same thing with case studies for me. I was extremely pleased overall. Again, I heard the language. Um, I heard the references to the research that you have done. Um, the readings that you have done. It really was, and the leaders did an amazing job leading the teams as well. So, you know, overall, great job. We accomplished what we wanted to accomplish with both case study one and case study two. But I saw growth in case study two over case study one. So, job well done. And we'll focus on that more in a few minutes because we want to go in more detail about that, about what is going to be expected in 603. Dr. Revis, if you would just a quick reminder about what's left in task stream. I went in and I looked today as well. I think the majority have done this, but we just need to remind them of what is left in there.
So, guys, even though you're not getting a score from us or a grade, if you will, from us on these things in task stream, you still have to do them. You can't get credit for the course.
You'll get a
And you
pass
got
or fail. You'll get a
right,
pass or fail on your internship
right,
folio and your internship log. If they're not there, we have to put fail.
right. You've got your School of Ed dispositions. Remember, that's a self-assessment. Your remaining 9 competencies for the competency folio. And I know some of you've got work in there waiting for me to review, and that's where I'm going to focus the rest of the week. Your remaining internship requirements totaling 200, and make sure that when you upload that final log that you title it Fall 2023 Final Log. That it's a comprehensive log. Then you've got your competency analysis. Again, that's a self-assessment. And those things have got to be done. And that's what you should be working on this week. So you need to check TaskStream for any comments or callbacks that you have on anything in TaskStream.
Dr. Revis, I will remind you, some of you got ahead of the game early in the semester and you went ahead and you submitted your competency analysis and you weren't supposed to. Well, Dr. Lamb sent it back. So you need to don't assume that it's been done, because if you did it during the APSL, it is not done. Okay. I saw a few in there that it says P, which it means that it's pending. And if a P is in there, that means you may have thought that you submitted it for evaluation and it hasn't been submitted. So you need to make sure that for the School of Ed dispositions and for the competency analysis that you have indeed indicated for it to be evaluated. Those two have to be evaluated. And we will, Dr. Revis and I'll go back and look. And we'll, if I don't see any activity from you, I will send you an email reminding you that, that it's still showing pending in there, that you've got to do something. We can't do it. You have to go in there and you have to submit it. And again, the 9 competencies that are remaining for the folio, remember, you must have 9 supporting artifacts. You've got to show us something. A lot of them this time are open-ended. And we have to see, you can't just put this as open-ended and write a narrative. You've got to provide us with an artifact still. So make sure that you do that as well. And again, that work, we would love to have it before Sunday night so that we can begin looking at it. Some have already started sending it in, Dr. Revis. I've cleared some in your class already. But
Right.
you have
You just need to make sure.
you have no later
You
than
just need to make. Go ahead, Sue. Sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You go ahead. I'm through.
You just need to make sure that you're checking back in task stream. I'm going to make comments in task stream for your task stream work. You have to go back and check my feedback. I'm not going to make comments there and then email you. You've got to check task stream. Okay.
Okay. And just remember, digital competencies is not something that you have to do. Remember that that's already built into all of 18 of your other competencies that you've done. So digital competencies is not one of the 2021. Any questions about what has to be done to finish out the semester with task stream at this time? Any questions at all before we move on?
I have a question. This is Tanya.
Hey, Tanya.
Hey, after we have finished the competencies, do we have to publish or share? I can't remember.
Okay, remember
You have
that
to,
you're going to send them for, you're going to send yours to Dr. Revis for her
Right.
review.
Yes, I've already done
gonna-
that, but I'm
you're-
just saying that when we're finished, we
No.
don't do anything else.
Oh, you'll
Okay.
you'll do them at the end of the program in the third semester. You'll put them on.
Okay.
That's when you'll have to do something then.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, but at this point, all you do is share them with us, and we'll let you know that you have completed requirements for this semester. Okay, Emmy? Can't hear you, Emmy. Still can't hear you. Okay, while Emmy's trying to fix hers, Wanda?
Hi, good evening, Dr. Stedman.
Hey, Wanda.
I just need clarity. Who do we submit the logs to in the competency portfolio?
If you're in my class, my two classes, if you're in 602 and 6 if you're in the 02 class section or the 06 section, you'll send them to Dr. Revis as you did before. And if you're in Dr. Revis's session where she has graded your work this semester, you send the competency folio and the logs for me, like you did mid-semester. Does that answer your question, Wanda?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Emmy, can you talk now?
Is it better now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think it was my earbuds that I was using. I had a quick question about the competencies in task stream. I just wanted to clarify the ones that are open-ended. I know you mentioned, I see that there are a lot of those. Are they, I know we talked about this early in the semester. I just want to clarify. Those we can, is it correct that we can use our clinical work to justify that, or
You
is that
can.
correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And 99% of it's going to come from your clinical work.
Okay.
Either way, with the open-ended.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Okay, Kizzy.
Hey, good evening. So everything is due Thursday, correct?
No.
Oh,
That was this past Thursday. We'd like to have as much as we can, before Sunday, but you have until Sunday to get all the final work in.
okay. I'm just missing the signature on my my internship log for the second one. I'm going to email it to my principal. Hopefully I get it back before then. But is it okay if I submit it to Tashroom without it until I get her signature on Monday?
Yeah, I want to see it before. Yeah, you have to send it in to get credit for it, and then you resend it on Monday with the signature.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Because I'm going to send it back if I don't get the signature.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. Thank you.
Okay. Jeffrey.
On Blackboard there are 4 upcoming Blackboard student user quiz or whatever. Those we can ignore, right?
Yes. Those are, yeah.
All
Those are for people that have no idea what Blackboard's about. Most of you, 99% of you come into the program having experienced those things already. So, yeah, that's just for people that don't know what they're doing.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. This agenda is under week 14, but I want you to look at this again. This reminds you of what is due this week. And then this is under week 15. We have emailed it to you, but we also put it on this agenda. This is the town hall information for next Monday. Very, very important because Dr. Lamb's going to share some things with you, but he will also have someone there along with himself that will talk to you about the doctoral program for those that are interested, so you can begin thinking about this and making plans for it, because it'll be here before you know it. So, so it's an important meeting. He will always say it's a 30-minute meeting, and it might be, but with Dr. Lamb, it's probably going to be an hour meeting. He gets started and he gets cranked up, and that's it, right, Dr. Revis?
That's right.
Which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Dr. Revis, I'm going to pull up, and you've got access to all of this. This is actually in your Blackboard shell under week 14. So everything you see here on my screen, you've got it. You have access to this. Okay, this tells you the 2 textbooks that you have to order for 603. Go ahead and get them.
And remember,
and I'm going to tell you why. 603 uses these books intensely. It's about your school law and your school finance. You will have to use these your very first week of school. Don't wait on them. Get them ordered.
now let me remind you that if you're going to order them outside of Gardner Webb, then you need to opt out of the Bulldog One bundle.
Right. Opt out of that, yes. And I'm going to tell you, you can get them less expensive if you search outside of Bulldog bundle. And Dr. Lamb would tell you that too.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get them much quicker
Right.
going to a third party than through the Bulldog bundle. But if you don't opt out, guys, they charge you for them in your tuition.
Right. Elizabeth, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Are these textbooks that you would see us using again? Because with the Bulldog bundle, they were rentals and we would, return them. Are
Well,
these?
right. Well, now, school law and school finance, I would want those going into administration. I would want those books. Wouldn't you, Dr. Revis? That's your choice. I would want to be able to put a book in my hand and, I could flag something. I could put a note in. These are, you will live. When I was a principal, I lived with my school law book by my side all the time. So
You've always got your general statutes,
right,
that you can look at, but if I were going to buy any books, it would be these 2 books.
I would. Me too. Yes. Okay, Dina.
Hi, everyone. I have a question about opting out. When can we opt out of the Bulldog bundle? Is that once the spring registration starts? How does that work?
I would say that once it's open, you would have to call the bookstore and ask that question. I really don't know. Do you, Dr. Revis?
Well, I think you're going to have to wait until your course becomes available to you.
Okay.
And when you can see your spring course on the home page, there should be a place down toward the bottom where it says opt out Bulldog One bundle, or you can just go search Gardner Webb website and find
Dr.
it.
Revis, since I won't be there Monday night, make a note of that and ask Dr. Lamb to address that question.
Okay.
Okay, Dina, we'll get that answered on Monday night.
Okay,
Okay.
I remember when speaking with Dr. Lamb, I thought he said every semester we had to opt out if we wanted to.
But he will be able to tell you exactly when, if you could go ahead and do that now, or when it possibly would be available.
Okay, thank you.
But again, like Dr. Revis said, if I was going to own 2 books, I would probably own these 2 books.
Okay,
And Dina, you're already experiencing that as an assistant principal. You're already seeing a lot of this.
yes, no, all the books have been great, so thank you.
Okay. What you're going to have this semester, and this is just well, let's do this. Dr. Revis, let's open it up. And let's look at the OMA task and prompts. You're going to do 2. You'll have 2 evidences this semester. Again, the OMA is the first of those 2. The OMA is it represents the organizational management analysis. And what Dr. Revis and I decided that we wanted to do was we would like to basically break this down for you a little bit. Dr. Revis, I actually looked. I mean, it lists the task there, and we can come back up. Well, let's look at that. Okay, Dr. Revis, would you like to begin just looking at task 1 and
Yeah, can you make that just a little bit bigger on the screen? Can you enlarge that? Or maybe I can.
I
mean, okay, I think I can get it. Well, you see, you have 4 tasks, and look at what the last one is. Reflections again. Sound familiar? And so you start out, and you're going to examine your school and its context, both internally and externally. In the analysis, you're going to look at organizational structures, management routines, and operations of the school. So you're going to take a good look, and you're going to look at your school, and you're going to get inside and walk around it and look at all those structures, routines, and operations.
Dr. Revis, Dr. Revis,
Yes.
what would you say? We know internally, we know you've already looked in those classrooms. So this is not necessarily about looking in the classrooms per se. This is beyond that. You're the principal now. And when we say looking at it internally, everything that it takes to run a school, that means looking at when you walk in the door, the receptionist that's up front, the janitorial staff, everything, and that includes the school finance, policies, procedures. I mean, there should be no stone left unturned when you get this analysis done. You're analyzing everything that it takes to run a school. Dean, I bet your eyes were opened when you started this school year, wasn't it?
Sure was, yes.
Yeah. There's a lot more to it than you thought that there was to it.
Absolutely. When I entered the position, I thought I was prepared. I was prepared, but I needed to learn and know so much more.
Right.
So even going through this, this master's has really helped me a lot. And a lot of the research has also guided me in the position. So absolutely.
And this is probably going to open your eyes to things that you, even though you're practicing administration already, that you don't know. So, I mean, there'll be some new things that you learn that will take it to a new level for you, and even in the role. Dr. Revis, what would you say would be something external when they're looking at the analysis of school operations?
Well, if I were looking externally, and there's only so much you can do externally, I would want to compare myself to, for example, if I'm at a high school, I want to compare myself and my school report card with the other high schools in the school district to see how I stacked up on some of those metrics that show up on your school report cards. And you could even look at the state metrics as well. If I'm looking at end of grade assessments or growth, I could also find those things in the state report card too, or my district has a report card. So I'm going to look at my school, all the operations, procedures, and routines within my school, and then I want to look at it externally as well.
Well, Dr. Revis, do they have to beg for this information?
Well, you may have to ask for something, for example, if you're not sure um, about all the routines that take place, the management routines that take place and expectations, you may have to ask about them in your school if your principal has something like that. But a lot of if it's school report card data, that's public information. You don't wait on that.
That was my point.
Yeah.
A lot of what you need is out there. It's public information. You just have to find it. And when she was talking about making those comparisons between high schools, you don't have to ask for that. It's there.
Mm-mm.
When you need to if you want to compare where you are with the with the district, with the county, with the state, all of that, and even with the nation, all of that's out there. It breaks it down for you. So you just have to do your homework and do that. I will tell you, these are documents that you need to have at your fingertip day one when this course starts. You need to make sure you have the most recent teacher working conditions survey. If you're in North Carolina, if you're in South Carolina, whatever they use that compares to the teacher working condition survey, you need to have the most recent of that as well. You need to have if your school has gone through, or your district has gone through accreditation, then you need to have the most recent accreditation report. You need to have the most recent school report card. Dr. Revis, what else can you think of that they need to pull and have at their fingertips?
Well, you're going to talk about your schedule in task 3, but you need to go ahead and get a copy of your school schedule. Particularly if I'm working in elementary school, I'm going to be looking to see when blocks of time are set aside for English language arts and math, and I'm going to look to see if there is any time given during the day for grade levels to meet in PLCs or common planning. You're going to have to examine your schedule in task 3, so go ahead and get a copy of that as well.
Right. But you're going to have to start out on task 1. That is your homework in task 1, is pulling all of this information together. But task 1 is here you've got a big building there. You've got a big building. What does it take to run that building inside and out? That's basically everything that it requires. Because guess who's responsible for that? The principal. The principal is responsible for everything that happens in that school on a daily basis.
Let's look at the rubric and see if we can get some more details, Dr. Stedman,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
And we'll come down. Let me. Okay, is it okay, here it is, Dr. Revis.
I'm looking for the one that's landscaped and it has the different categories and levels of I think that's probably
okay. Yeah, let's do this and then we'll get back to that. Okay.
Okay.
Let's look at task 2. Each candidate, in cooperation with his or her principal, will assume responsibility for developing a program for instructional capacity building designed to improve student achievement in accordance with district and state initiatives, state and federal laws, not to exclude or slight programs for exceptional learners and special needs population in all phases. That includes every student and every program that's in your school. You've got to do an analysis of every program. Now, why would you do an analysis? Why would you need to do an analysis? You're the new principal at a school. You go in. Why would you, as a principal, do an analysis of what the instructional what it looks like in your school? Think about that. Dr. Revis, why would you look at that going into a new school or going into the school as a principal?
Well, I want to know how things are set up and how our students are being served and their needs are being met. And so when it says for exceptional learners and special needs populations, you have many exceptional learners. It's not just your children who are labeled as students with disabilities. It will be your gifted learners. How do they receive their services? It would be English as a second language or ELL learners, whatever you call them in your district. It would be all those exceptional learners, homeless students. How do you support them educationally and instructionally? I want to know about how their service delivered. What does it look like? And how does it mesh, and is it connected to my core instruction? Do all exceptional learners have inclusion, or do some exceptional learners get self-contained or a resource classroom, if you will? I want to know that. And I want to see as much as possible how, if they're doing pull-outs and not push-ins for the support, I want to know how those pull-out teachers connect with my regular classroom teachers.
Right. And again,
That's how
go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's how you're going to build instructional capacity.
Right. And when you go in and do that analysis, you're basically you're not making up anything. This is what it looks like. This is what it is. Because that analysis is going to help you determine what you need to do.
And then where it says developing a program for instructional capacity, that's where you're looking at how do all these programs fit together.
Right.
And how can you enhance that?
And are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they is there effectiveness, authenticity in what's going on? So you've got to determine all of that. And again, it's not what you think, it's what is actually happening. That's what that analysis is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dr. Revis, I think we've alluded to this. This is a biggie, Dr. Lamb, right here. That building a schedule. Now he
loves to work with that.
He will camp out there. Well, now I will tell you, we both have been high school principals, Dr. Revis and I, so we know that schedule has a major impact on student achievement at that school. You can't build it around personalities and individuals. I will tell you, not picking on coaches, but now most coaches, they want fourth period study hall or fourth period planning. Because you can't always do that. What if Dina coached girls softball and Dina taught AP biology, and based on the other schedules, the only time she could teach AP biology would be fourth period in a 4x4 block. Then you know what? It's not about Dina teaching or coaching softball, which is important. It's about Dina teaching fourth period AP biology because it's about our students and what they need. So all of that, you've got to look at all of that. Now, the good thing about it is, I don't know how South Carolina operates, but North Carolina requires that by the spring of the year, you have to have submitted a planned schedule. Am I right, Dr. Revis? I know that that changed. Used to, we could do it over the summer, but I'm almost positive that those schedules have to be done in the spring of the year. So you're coming into this class at a perfect time because your administration will be working on these schedules while you're taking this class.
And some of the questions you will want to ask your principal administrator who's in charge of scheduling, you want to ask them, how do they assign teachers? Do your most veteran teachers always get, and for example, in high school, do they always get the honors in AP or your juniors and senior classes? Or does that principal make sure the best teachers are teaching the children who need their expertise the most, which would be in some of those general areas that have state assessments. Also, so you want to know how does the principal make those assignments? If it's an elementary school, how do they know which grade levels to put somebody?
Dr.
Do they
Ravis,
let teachers choose? Mhm.
one of the things that they're going to learn with whomever's teaching 603, they're going to learn, what does the law say has to be in a schedule. The law clearly dictates what needs to be in a schedule, how many hours, how much time, all of those things are being. And when it says right here, the candidate will analyze the academic schedule, you're going to look at the current schedule at your school. And you're going to determine, based on what you learn in this class, what is right and what ain't right. Now, excuse my grammar, if it ain't right, then you have to point it out based on what the law says or what procedures and law says about that, and you'll learn that in this class. But you're going to want to be an integral part of building that schedule and observing, if nothing else, observing what's going on as much as possible. Go ahead, Dr. Ravis. I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You're going to want to know how the person, the building administrator, assigns students to the schedule. Do they prioritize making schedules for your students with exceptional learners, or where do they start as far as prioritizing student needs and those kinds of things? The law says as much as possible, every teacher has duty-free lunch, as much as possible. You can't sacrifice the safety and well-being of your students to give everybody a free duty-free lunch. And there are some other stipulations in the law that you'll learn about and make sure that those things are happening within your school.
And if you're in elementary school, there has to be physical education, but there also has to be, I don't know what they call it now, but it's basically just recess time. All of that time, those allotted times have to be in there. You have to look at it. Is your school doing what the law says you're supposed to do? Is it being done on a daily basis? I see Dina shaking her head. She's already dealing with all of that. Your job is to do an analysis. Now, what I want you to look at, and again, look at task 4. This is a repeat of what you've already done. You're taking it to the next level, though. You will choose 12 of the 21 competencies. Notice you get to pick any of the 21 you want for the OMA, and you have to reflect on it based on your work with Evidence 3, the OMA. And again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to say, in my coursework, in my clinical internship experience, you're going to do 2 things for all 12 of those competencies for the OMA. And then the next one is going to be the skip, is the stakeholder and community improvement plan. That's what you're going to do there. What I want you to notice, though, look at task 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, remember with the APSL and with the APTEL, by the time you got to task 4 with the APSL and task 3 with the APTEL, you were having to build an action plan or a growth plan, right? You don't see one here, do you? It doesn't mean that you're not going to embed some of those things in here, but you don't actually. This is the whole thing is an analysis. You're doing an analysis of everything for that school. Now, a lot of this information will be used as you do evidences after this. Okay, you will be pulling from this information to complete the skip and the cap and those other evidences that will come later on. But Dr. Revis, I'm gonna come out of this, and
Let's,
then
let's look at let's look at that rubric right before, if you don't
I
mind.
don't think I have access to it. I look.
Is it not at the bottom of this?
I mean, is it okay?
I thought it was at the bottom, at the end of
Maybe it
this.
is. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's
Okay,
on like
okay.
page 38 or something.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
40, page 40.
Okay, thank you.
It's
Okay.
way down.
Okay, going down. Okay, thank you. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, there we are. Yes.
All right, so you can see in task 1 to get accomplished, look at all these different things that you need to look at. Now, if it were me, I would think my headings need to I need a heading for demographic information, but it's not just students, it's staff. But look within a state and national context. So that's where you look at your school report cards, school and district and state. It's going to be hard for you to do national context on most of these.
Dr. Rivers, I want to point out here, look at here. You see these things? You're going to do, let's see, 1, 2, and this thing doesn't want to cooperate with me when I try to go down. You're going to do 2 analyses with task 1. Yes. The analysis of school context and the contextual analysis. Got to make sure that you're doing those 2 and you're doing all inclusive of everything that they require.
In addition to the analysis, look at that last sentence. I don't know if I don't think my point is right here. In addition, the analysis includes a critique. So it's not just doing the analysis, it's also a critique. Okay. Now, does it say you have to do this with a PLC? I don't see that anywhere. Okay. But you should be able to take this terminology and jot down your headings.
Dr. Revis, now when you get to the contextual analysis, this is where there's going to be a challenge with some of you, but you've got to do it. You can't say, well, my principal, they hold tight, they hide the budget or what. You can't get around it. It's a requirement. And that information is public knowledge. So look here. It says it clearly describes, not just briefly, it clearly describes the school's budgeting process and procedures. Now, what they're doing may not be right. You have to say that. Based on what, if they're hiding it and protecting it and say that teachers can't see it or whatever, then that clearly is breaking the law. Am I right, Dr. Revis? The law
Well,
says,
yeah.
Right.
Is there supposed to have some transparency there?
Right.
And
I'm not saying
notice,
that you put out on the desk on the front desk for everybody to see when to come in, but I'm just saying that there has to be transparency there.
Mhm. And also within that contextual analysis, that last paragraph, you have to discuss and describe how school personnel and the school improvement team is involved in your budgeting processes and procedures.
Now,
If it's not, you just say it's not.
and if I were you as a candidate, MSA candidate, if you're not on the school improvement team, as a part of my clinical internship, I would ask, can I attend school improvement team meetings? If you're not already a part of it, you need to ask, may I be a part of it as a part of my clinical internship? If you don't do anything but sit there and listen and observe. Wouldn't you, Dr. Ravis?
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. But and then, Dr. Ravis, we could go on through there, but this is there for you. So and this information that we've got in 603, I mean in under week 14, you need to go ahead and spend some time making black and white copies of this for a notebook, because you will be able to look over this and get ahead of the game. Hopefully over the holidays, being prepared when it starts, because you won't have access for this until about the second week in January with 603. So we just kind of cheated and found an opportunity to give you some stuff. So you need to go ahead and look at this so you know what to expect. And you always look at this last column. Look at accomplished, always. Don't ever go backwards. If you camp out here and you do all of that, you, for the most part, you're going to be okay. That should always be where you camp out. But Revis, I want to let me see.
Can we go ahead and look at those Blackboard discussion boards?
Yeah. Well, before we do that, let me go back to week 14 again. We've given you some other, we call it we cheated a little bit. So you won't find this, you won't find some of this when you get in your 603 class. That's why you need to make copies of it now to have examples. You won't find some of this stuff. Now you've got your OMA template here. This will guide you, okay?
Hi, how are
Now,
you? Yes, this is
okay,
Miss Willis.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Everybody
Yes, I'm
mute
so sorry
themselves.
that it's late. I have class at 7.
Renee, are
And
you
still
muted?
rambling on. I was like,
Renee, mute
I'm gonna
yourself.
go ahead and call you. So,
Renee, you're not muted.
okay.
Renee, mute yourself, please. Okay, I got
I
it.
know we already.
But this is information. This is the task and prompts that we just showed you. Dr. Revis, unmute yourself. Okay. There's an OMA template here. You need to make you a copy of that. And this is the same, like you had the APSL template and the APTEL template. Make a copy of this, because I don't know if you can find one when you get the OMA. Okay. Now these are old examples. They go back sometimes. They don't even follow APA 7th edition. However, the content, looking at the content, will give you ideas of things that you need to include in your work, because there's some good stuff there. Okay, let me just open this up for just a second, just to give you an idea. Now, Dr. Lamb actually shared this one, but I don't know if it's still going to be available now. But again, don't look at the APA, because it has to be APA 7th edition, and this goes way back. But you see again, your school profile, and look at there, special populations, the headings. And if you talk, all of these headings are good, Dr. Revis. I went back and looked at this today, Title One. Now, they included at their school a list of all of the special populations. Now, what I would recommend, these change over time. Some of them are the same, like learning disabled or autistic or whatever. Some of them change. Don't just put something in there. You need to have, if it's OH, just tell what OH is, so that your evaluator may look at that, and if you include OH in you need to have what do you call it, Dr. Revis, where you a scale that explains
legend.
all of the what is it called?
A legend,
A
maybe?
legend, yeah, a legend. I would have a legend because when you're writing in your narrative work, writing about, you can always refer back to this. Give them a legend the first time with all of these acronyms, so that whoever is reading your work, that it makes sense to them. Okay, but then they have done a great, limited English proficient. They've talked about all of that, but your headings are going to be vitally important. When you do this, you've got to talk about, you got to have a whole section on attention and attendance and retention at your school. You've got to have a whole section on school-wide discipline at your school. And I have seen students in the past. I've taught 603 many years ago, but I can remember, Dr. Revis, I may have, if I failed to, because that's when I first started. I think I've come a long way since then. But let's say, for instance, if I failed to tell Tanya to include school-wide discipline in hers, when it went to the evaluator, Tanya probably wouldn't get a 4 because she left that one area out. You see what I mean? So it's important that you're off, but this gives you good stuff. If it's in here, pretty much you need to put it in yours too. And you can put more stuff because you're doing an analysis of your school. So make a copy of that, and we've also given you okay, there is an OMA example. This here, now it's old, so it doesn't have, but it has all 4 tasks in it. I'd make a copy of it if I were you. There's something that about master scheduling in there. Make a copy of it. This is stuff to get you started. Now, Dr. Revis, unless they change it, they in addition to all of your evidence work, you'll have 10 activities that you are responsible for over the semester. 4 of them are case studies, and 6 of them are going to be specific activities. So, Dr. Revis,
I think those are in the discussion board, maybe.
Yeah, it's on the discussion board. So yeah, we've got this right here. So Dr. Revis, talk about the case studies first. The 4. We don't have to open all of them up. You've got them, and you can go ahead. And these are not going to change. They're going to be these 4. I don't think they'll change.
Well, the case studies, you can open them and read them. It will give you references to your text, but I don't think you can really start working on that right now. I would recommend waiting on spending your time on those case studies until you get your text and you get into some of the school law and school finance. I would spend my time working on the OMA and those discussion boards.
Right here. But just what I was going to point out, you're going to have 4 of them.
Mhm.
You will work with your same Zoom teams for these four. Now it's going to be we introduced you to case studies. This takes it to a new level. I went back and I looked at case study 1 earlier today, and the first thing that you've got to do, you've got to read complete chapters out of your law book. And whenever your Zoom team, there's things you've got to do on your own, but then you've got to come together. You've got to actually come together and do a group presentation. Dr. Lamb says 15 to 30 minutes. I have seen him go on with one group for up to an hour before. Now, I'm going to tell you, once you get into it, sometimes he'll tell you ahead of time, don't you plan anything? Don't you dare stay out if you've got a case study. Am I right, Dr. Revis? He will tell you, you can't get credit for something that if you're not there to participate with. And these are live. They're not recorded. These are live case studies, live presentations. So you will do your presentation, and he'll explain all that to you. But you're going to do 4 of them over the course of the semester. And then these are the other things that you're going to have to do as well. Now, these are things, Dr. Revis, that they can go ahead and start gathering materials on and begin working on, because you do these independently. Look at number 1, Dr. Revis.
Okay, it tells you to locate your copies of your school emergency or crisis plans. And, there's some questions you have to ask and write up in a discussion board. So you're going to be sitting down and working with your administrator on some of these. So you need to plan accordingly. And you've got 3 weeks between now and most of you getting out of school for Christmas. Don't sit on your thumbs. Don't do that. You need to actively get going on some of this.
Dr. Revis, what we have found, or what I found when I taught this class, and I've taught the class and I have served as a clinical coach for this class. What we found, you will be amazed in your research. It's going to be like a treasure hunt.
Mhm.
You're going to be amazed. This is the law. The law says that you're supposed to have this, and it's supposed to be updated. Many of you are going to be surprised. And when you do find one, sometimes it's so full of dust that you have to clean it off because it hasn't been used. But you'll have some active discussions about this as well when it comes back, when you're sharing with your 603 instructor. Dr. Revis, number 2 is an interview with an administrator concerning human resources practices. It explains everything that you've got to do. Look at number 3, Dr. Revis.
They're asking you to interview the chair or a member of your school's intervention team. I'm not sure of that word. Well, it may be called different things. I think this is called your school improvement team. Is that what you're taking it to be? Or what do you think that is? School improvement team, Dr. Stedman?
I think it carries on different. It's different. Jeffrey raised his hand. What do you think it is, Jeffrey?
I think it was the MTSS team, but I had a question about that.
I think it is too. But it all, I think that's
okay. MTSS, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that basically is inclusive of pretty much everything with the MTSS team. There are schools that have full-time MTSS coordinators at the school, don't they?
Mhm.
Some schools, I thought so, yes.
I
Uh,
have a question about number 2, though.
Go ahead, yes.
Are we supposed to interview someone at the central office who is in the human, who
I
is
I
personnel?
would highly recommend that, yes.
Okay.
That's where I would
I would,
I would
I,
actually I would want to talk to the human resource director if I could, or
I would
assistant.
also talk to my principal, Jeffrey.
Yeah, yeah.
When he has vacancies, what is the process that he uses? And most school districts ref defer all those comments to human resources. But I would just ask from your principal's perspective, is this what he does? And then,
Just send it
from the
off.
district level
Yeah.
perspective, this is what they do. Okay.
And Jeffrey, that's a good question too, because let me say to you this: don't take these lightly. Don't think that you can write a little short paragraph and you've covered the responsibility. These are pretty detailed assignments. I mean, they're going to carry a lot of weight. So don't think that you can just if your assignments are due on Sunday evening and you say, well, after 12 o'clock, I'm going to start. You won't be able to get this done and do and do the job that you need to do. It's going to take time to get this work done. Okay, Elizabeth.
In terms of the clinical hours and the restrictions and like as to what will fit where, are we able to use the discussion board activities as part of the clinical hours, just as we have with the APTEL and the APSOL?
You will need to ask that when you go into 603. Ask your instructors about that in 603 when you get there. I don't want to tell you something, and Dr. Revis doesn't want to tell you something, and then they have a different idea about things. I think the answer is yes, that you'll be able to use a lot of that, but let them say that to you. Okay? Elizabeth, make sure you ask that question though. Okay. And then it goes on. Cyberbullying, interviewing assistant principal or other school disciplinarian. Dina, I would just, talk to your principal since you're already an assistant principal. Talk to your principal about that. Or, you may have somebody that works specifically with discipline. Some people have a full-time person that works with that. I don't know, at a district level. And then,
It's between me and the school counselor.
Okay,
So I
gotcha.
could use her as well.
yeah, examine a school district field trip policy, and it tells you what to do there. But this help. We hope that this helps you kind of get an idea of how to get started. That was our whole purpose, for this evening. And there's not any of you that are not going to be at the place that you can't get started. I would not, if it were me, I would, you need to get a little bit of rest, but I wouldn't rest to the point that I got out of the routine of being in a routine, with my work. So I still would set aside time, maybe Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but other than that, I would still make sure that you've got that you're doing something, and work smart so that you don't have to work so hard when 603 starts, because it's a lot. It's a lot.
Remember, Dr. Stedman, I told you some time ago, in 603, in 601, we focus on making sure you feel comfortable on how to do the evidence work, how to do the task work, and know how to put it together and know how to come out of it with a good score. What you're seeing here is a lot more coursework going along with it. You've got discussion boards, a lot of discussion boards. We didn't do any. You've got, those case studies, which you've got to go deeply into. So that's why we're encouraging you to go ahead and front load yourself on some of these discussion board prompts, or you're going to be scrambling. You really will be.
And with our APSOL and APTEL work, you saw how intense it was. 601's job is to to acclimate you to all of this process. Now, they're not going to hold your hand with the OMA. They're going to tell you this is what you got to do, and you do it. They'll go over it, but it won't be, because you should know what to do now. So that's why in 603 there's more of an opportunity to do the things that we couldn't do. We just basically introduced you to them in 601, but you will fully get engaged with them in 603. Okay, Paulette?
Hi. The Principal's Quick Reference Guide to School Law, there's now a 4th edition available. Do you recommend that we purchase that instead of the 3rd?
I would, and they probably, because my information is old information in here, Paulette, and I, because I don't do 603, we just stole this sometime. I had access to something way back, and I took the liberties to borrow it, and I just never gave it back. So, so yes, I would say yes to that. Absolutely. Okay, Mayra?
Hello. So will we have access to this, to the syllabus for next semester, or this is just what you said you were
you'll
sharing with us?
you'll have a syllabus next semester. This is just some stuff that we have been able to retrieve to get you started. Dr. Lamb will go over some of this again on Monday night, and you'll hear some of it again. But it's just to help you get started.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Typically your course shell will be available a week before
Right.
classes start. I think classes start on January is it the 17th? The week of Martin Luther King, is that when it starts, Dr. Stedman?
I have not even looked yet, Dr.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, they'll be available the week
Who
before.
said, Tanya, what did you say?
Yeah, regular classes start January 10th, but we start the 16th, that
Okay.
Tuesday night.
And as a normal rule, 603 is on Wednesday nights.
Oh, really?
Yes. 603
Oh,
is on Wednesday nights, yes.
So you
okay.
want to start checking in Blackboard that second week in January to see when you meet. And Dr. Lamb, if you got Dr. Lamb, he'll get his up very quickly. I would start checking on the 9th.
Right.
To see when things started and get your syllabus and everything. We're just trying to get you ahead of the game a little bit. Guys, school law, I learned of all of my coursework for getting my master's in school admin. School law was a course by itself. Of course, you're doing 2 courses in one. School law was by far one of my hardest.
It was
but
hard.
I learned so much.
Mhm.
And it almost scared me. Like, oh my goodness, how am I going to remember all this stuff? Because let me tell you what, a principal is one of the most powerful people in public education.
Yes.
You will study their roles and responsibilities, and you're going to say, wow, they are very powerful. But along with that power comes a lot of rules, laws, all kinds of things. Don't let it overwhelm you and don't let it scare you. Just learn it. And you can't expect to retain everything, but there will be landmark court cases that
Mhm.
you will fall back on. And your school district supports you with a policy manual as well. And you'll get into that too, probably. But all of their policies have to be based on school law. Now, school finance, when I took it, was a course in and of itself. It was
really good.
interesting. It was interesting. I'm a math person, breezed through that, but you've got a lot you're learning this semester. My whole message is it's going to be interesting. You're going to say, why didn't I know that? I've been teaching 10 years. I didn't know that this was a law, or so on and so forth. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to have a lot of aha moments, but don't let it scare you.
No. And I will tell you, I don't know some of the other instructors. I don't know that well. I know Dr. Lamb, and I know how he comes across. Honestly, whoever is fortunate enough to have him as an instructor, you will thoroughly enjoy his class. I mean, he is a walking genius when it comes to this stuff.
And he's got years and years of anecdotes to tell you and share with you.
Jeffrey, you will get some belly laughs out of him again.
Yeah.
Jeffrey laughs at him anyway.
He was my school principal's former principal.
Okay. So you already knew, didn't you? Okay. Anyway, guys, it's just been a pleasure to have you this semester. Just make sure that you, I've used this analogy before. If you worked on a farm, you have to plow to the end of the road. So plow to the end of the road and get all your work done this week that needs to get done and do it well. Finish well. Okay?
I have one last question, Dr.
Sure.
Dr. Stedman.
Go
So
ahead, Jeffrey.
Internship log, are we allowed, if we've done some activities in the next few weeks, can we go ahead and start documenting that for the next semester?
Once you've cleared yours with Dr. Revis, yes. Once you've cleared Dr. Revis's class, once you've cleared with me, and I tell you that you're through, yes, you can move on. Yes.
Guys, I too have enjoyed you. It's been fun getting to know you. I know when we come online, sometimes we have 50, 60 people, and it's hard to give you the individual attention that we would like to be able to give you, but we hope that we've been responsive to your emails and your needs, and engaged with you in other ways and stayed on at night whenever you needed us to stay late. But we've enjoyed it. I love teaching 601 because I have seen so much growth with you guys. I've seen your leadership growth and I've seen your learning growth. And it's just been amazing. And you need to take a few moments just to reflect in the next week or so how far you've come and what you've learned. And it's just been a pleasure. Don't forget, you're always ours. Keep in touch with us. Let us know if you need references when you start applying for your first position. And we're in your corner, and we wish you the best in this program. You're well prepared. You're going to do fine. And I wish you Godspeed and have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday this week and a wonderful Christmas break with your family.
And for mine, those of all of you are mine, I know you get sick and tired of my emails, but I hope that you have received them because I want you to do well, and just know that that's why you got them. I want you to do well. Okay? Jasmine?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. My supervisor is out all week and I won't be able to get her to sign it. I don't know if somebody else asked this already or not. So I just was like, what should I?
Who is at your school? You got an AP?
My AP is my supervisor, but my principal might be there tomorrow.
Yeah, get your principal to sign it.
Okay.
Okay. You'll be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Jasmine, just if you can't, just turn it in unsigned, and then he'll send it back to you. But at least you'll meet your deadline. Okay.
Okay.
You'll be fine, Jasmine.
That works.
Elizabeth, you have another question?
I do. It's a individual question, but if
Okay.
you don't mind hanging on for like 2
Okay,
minutes afterwards.
We will. Okay. Okay, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you Monday night.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.